Hey, how's it going? What's up, Seth? You guys hear me okay? What's up, Sarah? What's up, Dan? What's up, Rodney? I had a little bit of a glare. Might be better. What's up, Big Paul? What's up, babe? It's coming along pretty good, Justin. My shirt's almost the same color, right? I'm like a floating head on this thing. I'd change it, but I don't know how. What's up, Kelly? What's up, Russell? I must have picked a good time. People are rolling in pretty quick. What's up, Roy? $31 people so far. Pretty good for 2 minutes, 50 seconds. That's right. Well, suppose we can get started. What's up, Rick? How's everybody doing on this Monday night? It's Tuesday morning where I'm at. So I'm coming to you from the future, which is pretty cool. Yep, Russell, it is for sure. No, I'm not unhappy at all. Actually, I'm just tired. I got here at about 1:30 in the morning, and it's 7:20 a.m. here, and so I'm just a little bit groggy. I only slept a few hours and then got up and had some breakfast because it's free, and if I had stayed sleeping, 3 or 4 more hours, then I'd had to go out and spend some money and time to get some food. So I just figured I'd be a little sleepy today. Anyhow, what's up, Justin? I figured I'd jump online. I was actually just chatting with Chad Keegan, and I had just watched his video from the other day, and was chatting with him on Messenger, and I was like, wow, it's a nice time over in the U.S., so I figured I'd jump on and see how many people were out and about and wanted to just chill and kind of shoot the breeze. Let's see. What's up, Norm? Hey, what's happening, JC? JC Smith in the house. JC Smith Projects. I'm sure everybody who watches this channel, lots of good stuff happens there. Man, I really wish that I could see without my glasses. What's up, Garrick? So what's everybody doing anyways? Just relaxing after work and maybe had some dinner or something. Waiting for some good TV to come on, so you jump on the old tube, watch some channels. I mean, that's exactly what I was doing, only I'm, 12 hours ahead of you. I'm in Japan today. Nagoya, Japan. What today's tomorrow. And I figured I'd jump on and talk to everybody and see what everybody else was doing. As far as work and such at the shop, I'm mostly working on Seth's truck. Let me see what I missed. Right on, Chuck. Yeah, batteries. Yep. Jessica asked if I was gonna have some fresh sushi over here. I think eel, maybe this afternoon we'll go to the eel restaurant. It's pretty good. Yeah, you're right. I can't see what's right here, but I can see really good what's 15 miles that way. Yeah, bad thing about getting old. Let me see. Let's see if I can make that. Ooh, there we go. Let's see. Oh yeah. Ooh, that's too much. Okay. Cross country trip on JP or JC. Where are you heading? When when I do a live, I do the chat setting for half of the delay as a normal delay. Like they make it so the chat doesn't get flooded, so you can see, and it's 60 seconds normally, and I cut it down to 30, but it's still too long because 30 seconds is a long time to wait. If I ask one of you guys a question, then maybe I get 2 or 3 other messages in there, and then I lose you. But maybe I'll just stop setting that period. Oregon, taking an engine to Bend and picking up some cool old internationals. Nice. Sarah, me and Jessica have been together 12 and a half years. Did I say that right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, Jason. It was storming here when we got here, too. Weather's weird. But I have a feeling it's going to lead into a really hot, humid summer. Garrick. Oh, that'd be cool, JC. What's up, Troy? Yeah, Jessica's clarifying the date time continuum over there. Married 12 and a half, together for 13. Oof, 95. I don't know what it's going to be like here. I was in South Korea yesterday for the last 2 days, and the weather was pretty nice. It was warm, but had a nice breeze. It wasn't bad. I'm not sure what the weather will be like here today. What's up, Tim? Saudi Arabia. I haven't been there in a while. I heard we're going there, but I don't know if it'll be on my fleet or the 7-4 fleet. I've been there a few times. Let me check in with Jessica, a little top secret background conversation. So, anyways, let's talk about some stuff that's going on at my house. So obviously, you guys know from the latest few videos that Truck X has been the primary target lately, and some of the progress has been slow because of rain and other reasons. I was kind of lazy last month. It's hard to get motivated. Whenever you start a big job like that, sometimes it feels a little overwhelming. But now that we've knocked out some big portions of that roadworthy restoration, things are looking up. And Seth, the owner of the truck, he's here in the chat. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or if we talked about it much, but his handle here in the chat is LUD Truck. I don't know if you say Lud or Lude or however you guys want to pronounce it, but that's him there. But anyhow, we're gaining ground. I anticipate 2 weeks more of work on that, and we'll be ready to take that out on the old big road and get that thing delivered. There he is right there. David, I fly the 777, the Boeing 777. Cargo configuration, no passengers. Yeah, me too, Russell. I love that truck. And it's cooler, like when I saw it in the woods, leaning on its side down the tanks with no wheels and looking all distressed. I had envisioned it being a pretty cool truck, but to be honest with you, it's actually exceeding my expectations. The closer it gets to having some wheels and tires and exhaust on it and going down the road, the more excited I am to see it happen. I'm going to miss that thing, but the nice thing is that it's actually going to work. It's not going to be a another long-term project where it doesn't ever get on the road. It's actually going to go to work, and I'm excited to see some video from Seth, and it's going to be pretty cool. JC, did I miss something? JC's been together 3 years. Together 3 years, then married 34. Oh, wow. 34 years didn't used to seem like it was attainable, but now that I'm an old guy, 34 years doesn't seem like that long at all. Right on, Russell. Appreciate you being here. Let me check in with Jessica and see if it's okay to. What's up, Darren? How's it going, brother? So getting back to the old channel. What's up, Mark? Once we get X delivered, then we're gonna try and refocus on finishing up Rhonda. Rhonda's been very challenging with the whole power steering thing. Steering components, man, there's a wide variety of steering components, and when you're shopping for pieces that you think, oh, if I get this type of pitman arm and this type of steering arm and this type of steering box and all this stuff, oh, in your mind you think, oh, this is going to be super simple and it's just all going to go together the way I have it in my mind. And then you get all the pieces and you're like, oh man, none of this stuff is going to work. And then you get the main component, you get the steering gearbox installed and you're like, oh man, yeah, this is exactly where you want it. So then you start buying pieces and piecing the thing together, and then you realize that you really missed quite a bit on where you put the steering box. So it's just been a pain. Oops, let me see what's going on here. Oh, nothing. My fab guy, Derek, you guys have seen him on a bunch of videos in the background, welding and making stuff happening. He's been busy at work, and it's been one of those things where getting pieces done has been kind of getting long-winded. And then I'm changing my mind constantly on the steering. I want to change, I want to do this, I want to move that, and pretty soon now we've redone brackets and all kinds of things. So it'll be interesting to get back to that and get that truck back mobile. I've got to get a tow bar for the back, or a sling, if you want to call it that. And we need to get that truck going. We've got a lot of stuff happening. Let me see what Jessica says about what I can say in the background here. Okay. So I can't really tell you any details about what's going on, but we have something big, and maybe not big for the world, but big as far as something super exciting that we're going to be doing. I can't really tell you anything more about it other than it's just going to be super good. I think it'll be good for the channel. I think it'll be good for me and Jessica. It'll be good for the trucks. It'll be good for everything. It's a super good deal. I wish it was a reality show or a huge Detroit diesel sponsorship program or something super cool like that, but it really is just it's just something personal that we're doing that's going to be never going to share with the channel, and it's going to be super cool. I think you guys will really like it. It's not solely truck related, but it has to do with trucks and the channel and life and family, and yeah, so super excited. And we want to just blow it out there and tell you what's going on, but you know, when you're trying to make something happen until the last little tidbit document is signed, there's really nothing you can talk about, because it can end at any time, and then you're like, talked all this trash and didn't deliver, and I just don't want to be that guy. But you know, I'm getting older, and there's some things that I wanted to do that I just kept putting off, and then now that I'm getting older, I'm like, okay, I don't have time to put that stuff off anymore, so we're gonna pull the trigger on some stuff and have a great time, and hopefully grow the channel, and you know, give you guys better content to watch. I know that repair videos and watching, you know, the same thing happen over and over gets a little bit stale. Even though it's a new truck, it's still brakes and bags and bearings and bushings and exhaust and windshields and wiring, and you know, I know that stuff gets monotonous, and it's hard to get super interested in. You know, let me branch off for a second just about that. So I was watching somebody's video. Man, who was it? Man, there's a couple of videos that I watched lately that I want to talk about, but I was watching somebody's video. How's it going, Adam? Travis, I've been flying since 1999, but professionally since 16, I think. 2016, maybe. Can't remember. So anyways, I was watching this video, and the guy hadn't posted in a while, and his video was kind of like a beginning and an end video. It wasn't a series of, I did this on my project today. I did this on my project tomorrow. I did this on my project, and have a string of like 15 videos like I often do. He had a lot of like, I'm working on this, and then it time lapses briefly into the next thing. And then he showed a little bit of what he was doing. And he mentioned that he thought that people wanted to see a completed project in a timely manner. So that's how he did his videos. And actually, after watching his video, I really kind of agreed. It was cool to see the transformation. And I've considered doing the same type of thing, but my transformation sometimes takes 2 years. And I don't know how I would squeeze that into one 40-minute video. No, excuse me. Let's see. Yeah, for sure, JC, for sure. And that's the thing, that it's so hard, especially if you're doing multiple projects. I don't have I live in a backwoods area. We don't have a whole lot of resources. Like if I have to get a hydraulic hose made, I've got to drive 40 minutes one way to get a hydraulic hose made. And so it's super hard being a part-time truck guy. It's super hard to like get everything done on any particular project in a 2-week period, which is all I have to film every month. And then I come out here on the road, and on my off time outside of the airplane, and sometimes inside the airplane on my off time, I'm editing and trying to make heads or tails out of like this huge amount of video footage that I have stored up. And so it's hard to have like super interesting stuff. I mean, for the majority, my average basic video just, does okay, 5 to 7,000 views. And then I'll get something exciting, like we'll get a new truck, or we'll do a willet start, or something that people have been waiting for. And I get, 20, 30, 40. And sometimes I think the willet start on Rhonda is at 300,000 or 370,000 views or something. That's amazing. But some of my videos are just bland. I think I did a video. I think I let a video out. Maybe it's this last one even. It's cool because there's some progress made, but it's like, do you want to watch me put new airlines and a relay valve, or plumb in a leveling valve? Some of it gets a little boring. Let's see, Casper. I appreciate that. Andrew, get you back here. What's up, brother? Yeah, JC, that's exactly my point. Yeah, Darren, absolutely. And it's weird because I think everybody on YouTube, I mean, obviously there's people on YouTube that they could just log in and show a white screen and they'd get 1 million views because they have millions of people that love their content and can't wait for the next thing. And so when your pool is smaller and then you do like a basic video, it looks like it's really not doing well, but still, if 5 to 7,000 people watch your video, it's still pretty impressive. So not complaining, just trying to figure out a way to make content that not only maintains the channel goals, I guess, or stays on topic, but also is interesting enough to bring some new people in and grow it up a little bit. What's up, Sean? JC, I don't like to talk about other channels, but there's a channel that I used to watch. And I don't know why I really stopped watching it other than I just got tired of, like, it's the same thing over and over and over and over. Um, and we're not friends by any means, but I reached out to the guy and I'm like, "Man, I'm like, I am so impressed that your channel gets 125% of its base watch every video." Like, at the time he had, let's just use random numbers, like, at the time he had 365,000 subscribers, and every video he put out got 450,000 views. And I was like, how do you do that? Man, he said something that hurt. He's like, well, if your stuff's interesting, people will watch it. And it's true. It's true. And I can see it in some of the videos that are monotonous is people lose interest, and it's not I do the same thing. If I was watching somebody's video last night before I left to get on the airplane, and I hadn't been watching their channel in a while, and I was like, now I remember why I don't watch anymore, because it's just not interesting. Um, so the goal and part of the new adventure that we're going to go on, which is still truck related, but I think it's more personal life related as well. So hopefully, the content we do there is going to be different all the time, not the same old boring stuff. I'm going to just catch up on a couple of these comments. Excuse me, real quick. Yeah, Cap, I appreciate that. And I feel the same way. Like, I do. I feel the same way, but I understand where you've what like I've done brakes, for example, on like 8 trucks. I mean, you really not. I'm not changing the way I'm doing it. They're all pretty much the same. So even though it's neat to see something that's just been sitting in the woods for 20 years start to come along, it's the kind of boring, monotonous stuff um, that now you're listening in the background instead of being captivated by the content. I want to have content that's captivating, where people are like, oh wow, that's something I've never seen before, or I'd love to be able to do more will it start videos on consistent stuff. I don't want to go out and do a will it start on a school bus. I mean, I will, because there's a school bus. There's 2 buses actually where I get my old trucks from, and I'm going to get them started because I need to get them out of the way. So I do plan on doing that sort of stuff, and I have about 7 or 8 cab overs that survived the fire in the woods, and I want to get those trucks out of the woods into somebody that wants to do them as a project. So I think we're going to try and do some of that, where we showcase a truck and we do a will it start on a truck, and maybe we dig it out of the woods and um, give it a bath and then sell it without doing a restoration. I don't have enough time left, um, useful time, um, to do 15 roadworthy restorations. And I don't want to take on any more big jobs like Betty. Uh, that truck crushed me, and it kind of crushed the channel, even though Betty's an exciting truck and it's super rare. There was so many videos involved in uh, making that truck pretty that it it actually was counterproductive. Let's see, I got to catch up here. Yeah, JC, that's what I'm talking about. That's a great plan. And I'd like to do that exact same thing on some of these rarer cab overs. Yeah. Transitioning diesel tech school. Where about you at, Casper? Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. And Norman. Yeah. Rhonda is pretty cool, man. I was just I was actually looking for, I think, a video I edited yesterday, which is a little old. Has just a small amount of Rhonda content in front of some X content. And when I was editing, I was like, man, I can't wait to get on it, Rhonda, again, and get that truck to where we can go and do something with it that is going to be exciting. I've got a few plans for that truck as soon as I get it roadworthy for sure. Sean, I get that totally. You know, me and Hank are buddies. Me and Wiley never really hit it off, but me and Hank hit it off. Hank has just got a really good spirit, and you know, he coached me through some of the hard times when I first started the channel. And Hank's a great person. He's a great human, and I watch his stuff. He's trying to do something different. You know, he decided to help those girls out and give them a I don't know how you put that, give them a career, and that was pretty cool. So I do watch Hank. I don't watch Wiley for my own reasons, but yeah, I get it. So Darren, I don't know that they ever made a 352 with power steering because I haven't been able to find anything about it online. And the couple of people I know that know 352s could not say whether it came with power steering or not. And I would have thought that the 362 and the 352 would have been close enough that you could just bing, bang, boom. But yeah. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Tim. No, I get exactly what you're saying, Sean. I understand. Justin, I actually just got off the phone with Tim, I think Friday evening. 362 had power steering. Yeah, I know the 362 does. It's just a completely different. And let's talk about that real quick. Grave Mark having a sponsor would be, yes, it would, very big time. So power steering is not rocket science, but there's some math in there, and that's the part that's hard. For example, a manual steering truck has a longer steering arm, because when you are man handling the gearbox, you need to have that length of the arm. Otherwise, you'd never be able to move it. If you had a really short steering arm, it would take 5 times the amount of strength to turn the steering box, to turn the wheels, right? So it's got this really long, almost too long. It's like all the way up against the leaf springs. So when you go to a modern size joint on the end of that, I'm going to call it a drag link, there's no room between the springs and that steering arm. So what do you do with that? That steering arm is a major important component, right? If you break that off while you're driving, bad things are going to happen because you'll have absolutely no control of the direction of the truck. So you can't just like cut the thing off and shorten it and weld it back on. I mean, you could, but you sure wouldn't want to go on the road with something that was modified like that, right? So then you're trying to find components and pieces that match your plan, and that's where the trouble for me is. And I'm not a fabricator. I can't just wheel out my tape measure and just start throwing measurements down on a piece of paper and then go in the shop and have something come out of the shop that is even remotely close to what it was in my mind. So so it's not hard. It's not hard. If I was better at math and you know, maybe better at fabrication, it would be a lot simpler. And I have some pretty good ideas, and I think it's going to work. It's just not going to be as easy to make all of the angles and all of that stuff work. Let's see. All right, Russell. .36" steering wheel. Nice. FSC trucking. Yeah, JC, that's 100% sure. When you start a project and it's something that's standard, like if you got a truck from 2005 and it was in the woods for the last 10 years and you took it out of the woods, you could just call up Freightliner or Kenworth or whoever with last 6 of the VIN and you could order whatever pieces, parts that you needed. Where when you're working with older stuff and it's obsolete, you're trying to come up with alternative parts and there's no instruction booklet, and you make decisions and you go in a direction, and pretty soon you're flipping the direction around and starting all over with stuff. If to answer your question, if me and Wayno lived closer, we would have already collaborated a few times. I consider us friends. I considered us friends for a couple of years before I ever met him. And I think me and him are from the same stones, I guess. And so he's super good dude, and he's super smart. And yeah, I'd love to do collabs with him. We talked about it several times. It's just hard for him to, he works, I work. We're 1,000 miles away from each other, and so it makes it tough. The same with JC. I would love to collaborate with JC. And if I lived near him, I might spend more time in his shop than my shop. That's right, Darren. Appreciate that, Cap. Thanks, Silverado. Casper. All right, I'm gonna say some stuff that's probably gonna be considered controversial among some of my cab over friends. No, if I were to go out on the road, like I'm gonna be a truck driver and I'm gonna buy an old truck. I love cab overs. I love the way they look, but I would never take on a cab over the road. Yeah, you climb in and out of that thing about 5 times in the morning, and you'll wish that you didn't. If I was going to go over the road, I'd buy a Freightliner FLD with a Detroit 60 series and go make money. Yeah, JC says it right there. It's cool. It's nostalgic. It's like running a Detroit, like a two-stroke Detroit. Two-stroke Detroits sound cool, but I guarantee you don't want to listen to that thing roaring in your head 11 hours a day. And they make no power. Big Daddy, that's possible. And I actually think I started to measure to put the front axle out of the FLD that I have laying there under that truck, but I just don't want to. It just don't want to. I just want to get the steering to work the way I planned it to be, simple and easy, in a weekend job that's been going on for months. And I just want to get that fixed and make it work, and then work through whatever little bugs I might have with it. But I just don't want to swap out everything under the truck. Just lazy. Okay. I don't like Volvos, Casper, not at all. I honest to God would buy an FLD, a classic, or an FLD 96 to, I don't know, 03, I guess, with a 60 series, a BK block, or I think a BK PK are the same. So a BK PK block, or a 14 liter, but 14 liters. I don't know. I'm learning some stuff about 14 liters, but 12.7 is probably the best way to go. You can make 550, 600 horsepower, get good mileage. And as long as you put get the exhaust behind you, so you ain't got to listen to the thing, it's not so bad. Anything with a stand-up sleeper, absolutely. Absolutely. W900, I have no W900 experience. Long hood, something easier to get in and out of, absolutely. Now, obviously, the cab over has benefits, a short wheelbase and lots of visibility, easy to back into places and get out of places, but it's going to beat you to death. And there's no place to stand up. Who wants to lay down and put their pants on? Who wants to climb over that big hump to get in that little bunk every night? Nobody wants to do that. Casper, what model did you find for 4,000? Yeah, that's right, JC. Yeah, I know, Jared, but I if I wasn't lazy, I could have probably spent a week and swapped that whole front axle over, and then I'd have front brakes, and I'd have the steering arm throw that I need, and yeah. I love cat engines, but man, them things are expensive. What's up, Tommy? How's it going, brother? Yep, JC, 100%. And I actually think I made Wayno mad at me the other day because I was dogging out two strokes for that same reason. The Volvo. So, Peterbilt and Kenworth are exactly the same truck, right? So I don't not like Peterbilts, but I don't have a Peterbilt because everybody has a Peterbilt. You drive on any highway, you go to any truck show, Peterbilts outnumber everything else like 45-1. That's what it seems like. I like Kenworths, but really it's the same exact truck built by the same company. So if you like Peterbilts, like Peterbilts. If you like Kenworths, like Kenworths. If you like a Volvo, like a Volvo. Whatever it is that makes you smile when you look at it is what you should own. Yeah, same, JC. I love two strokes. I have a lot of Detroit stuff. And Marlo is a super cool truck, and I spent a lot of money to get Marlo and make Marlo what Marlo is right now, and I'm ripping that two-stroke out of there and putting a real engine in as soon as I can. So it's just not fun to drive. It's nostalgic and cool, but I plan on putting a lot of miles on that truck in the next few years, and I want it to be something that makes me smile every time I push down on the fun pedal. Yeah, Darren, hey, cat's great. You guys know I'm a cat guy. I turned into a cat guy, and then now I'm running away from cat to do this 14-liter dumb thing that I'm going to do with Marla, and it's basically because cat stuff is so freaking expensive. I mean, it's all expensive, but the motor I'm building for Marla, I'm going to have 40,000 in. The engine, the yellow engine version of what I'm doing to Marla, I had 65,000 in. So, I mean, it's a lot different. Silverado, I don't like Cummins engines. And it's the Ford Chevy conversation. There's nothing wrong with the Cummins engine. If you put together a cat engine like I put together a Cummins engine, the cat engine wouldn't last 15 seconds. So there's something to be said for how easy a Cummins is to work on, how bulletproof that engine is, how much power it can make. But I don't know why I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. Well, Travis, I think if the 362 in my spot wouldn't have burned in the fire, I may have tried that. Yeah, JC, Wayne is such a good dude, man. I wish we had more time to spend. Like if that show was local to all of us and we could spend all 3 days hanging out, that would have been badass. I like a Mack Superliner. I actually wanted one with the E9, but never came across one, so I don't have any experience with them. But I think they're cool looking. Yeah, Casper, I agree with that statement. Yeah. Yep, David. I'm in contact with Steve at FSC. Pretty much, we're friends online and in person. And yep, I don't know what I was doing, but had his video going in the background the other day, and I heard him say something. And I was like, "What?" So I picked up the phone and dialed him. Was like, I just texted him. I'm like, "Did you just say what I thought you said?" And he answered within 5 minutes, and we had a 15 or 20-minute conversation on the subject. And yeah, we talk a lot. He inspires me to do things, and he's a good dude. And 14 and older Cummins are the small block Chevy. Absolutely, JC. KTA motor would be really, really cool if they weren't $30,000. I already have one. Yeah, JC, that'd be cool to hang out next year for sure. I'd like to have new and improved Marla and painted Betty there, and that would be great. 903 Cummins. You know what's funny? I worked for a guy a long time ago, and his son had a trucking company as well, and his whole fleet of W900s had the 903 Cummins in it, and they sound so dumb. Like when they're sitting there idling, you're like, man, what is that thing? And all of his were the turbo model. I think they were 450 horsepower, if I remember right. But his whole trucking company relied on that 503 or 903 motor for a decade that I knew of. Well, I don't have any experience with those Mack engines, but I have heard the same story. Thanks, Darren. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's for sure, Adam. Hey, what's up, William? What's up, Demon? How's it going? Oh man, that would be cool, JC. You know, William, I've only ever seen one 444, and I didn't get to drive it. You guys know that there is a Peterbilt 362 in one of my spots that's missing a lot of pieces. It's got a broke crank in the motor, but it has a NTC 475 twin turbo engine in it. Obviously, somebody stole the manifolds and turbos off it a long time ago, but The engine is there pretty much complete with the broken crank. And I think I'm going to end up with that truck, and maybe not for a restoration because it needs 2 years of work. But I think I'm going to end up with that truck, and that NTC 475. I'm going to put back together and play with it a little bit. Appreciate you, Silverado. Yeah, William, I agree. When I first saw that thing, my buddy was like, he's like, yeah, that's 475 horsepower, and I was like, what? I'd never even heard of it. I mean, this guy's smart, and so I didn't disagree, but I was skeptical, and I reached in there and I stuck my camera down in there because it's a cab over, so you couldn't get to it. It was all grown up, and I was like taking pictures of the engine tag, and I couldn't really see it because it was sunny. And I ended up looking at it later in the day, and I was like, "Ooh, that thing's neat." And then I found out that they were twin turbo, and then I got super excited. So I will end up with that probably. Right, Sean. I've heard that. I like the way those engines idle, unless they have got them whacked out to make them idle like that. I like the way that thing kind of surges. See you later, JC. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. What's up, Susan? How's it going? Let's see. Let me double check my massages here. Okay, let's see. I appreciate that, Casper. All right, so we had a lot of weird tangents there. Did I stay on topic pretty well? Okay, so we talked about X. We talked about the potential differences in things we're doing. How's it going, Train Boy? How's everything? We talked about Rhonda a little bit. We can talk about Marlo a little bit. So for those of you that do know, Marlo is going to go under the knife, and we're collecting pieces parts right now. And once I have everything or the majority of the stuff, we're going to tear that truck back apart and do lots and lots and lots of stuff. A lot of people talk trash about, this motor, this horsepower, this. Well, I can tell you that in order to make 1,000 horsepower, you have to spend an ass ton of money. And so when I decided I wanted to put something different as far as power plant goes in Marlin, I was all over the place between Cat and 12.7 Detroit and 14-liter Detroit, and looking at money and looking at time and looking at effort and wanting to stay brand loyal because that truck was born with Detroit badges. And I thought, well, we might as well put a Detroit in there. I settled on the 14-liter, and I can tell you that I'm already at $10,000, and it's not even at the machine shop, and it needs everything. Once the major internal components of the engine are assembled and the thing's bolted together and painted, that's only the beginning. And manifold and $5,000 turbo and $4,000 injectors and tuning from a master tuner, not just somebody who knows how to tweak a couple numbers, but somebody who actually knows how to tune an ECM. And all of those very expensive things come together for a huge expense. And then you got to cool the thing when you have it running. So you're the radiator for the truck from the place out west, and that's the only thing I'll say about that company. They quoted me $6,900 for the radiator for that truck. And that transmission that's in that truck's a piece of crap, and it's coming out. And so you're talking $8,000 for transmission. And yeah, so we're looking at about $40,000 minimum to repower the truck, and it's probably going to be more like 55, because you don't think about all the little things, and I don't know what the machine work is going to be on the block. If they've got to machine the lowers and they got to, I don't do counterbore shims. I redo the deck, which is they machine it out and they put a hardened insert in, and then they deck the whole thing so it's like zeroed out, like 0 time, like make it brand new. And you firing the thing and all the great things you do to keep the head gaskets in it, and all that stuff's expensive. So the price could be, I could have a $5,000 to $7,000 machine shop bill at the end of that part of it. So I mean, we're talking between 40,000 and 55,000, and we're talking about 3 weeks, 4 weeks of work, because not only do we have to put new mounts in, because the engine's not the same length, doesn't sit in the same spot. So got to put new mounts in. Modern trucks, and I haven't crossed this bridge yet, but modern trucks, if you look at a modern Freightliner conventional, the where the engine sits and where the radiator sits is different. So the fan, all of the fan stuff on this 14-liter isn't up where an old school engine would have the fan hub. It's down like right above the crank, because the radiator sits below it, because the truck has a slope so that it's aerodynamic. None of that is the same. So there's a lot of custom stuff that's going to have to go on in there. Once the engine and transmission are out, the inside of the frame rails and the outside of the frame rails will be stripped and painted. Every hose and electrical wire on the truck will be replaced. And so there's all that expense. And so, I have I don't remember the dollar amount I have in that truck already, but just doing this repower is going to put it over 120,000 just in hard money, in my estimate. And so, I'm taking a truck that I couldn't sell for 60,000, and I put another 50,000 on it. And so I'll never recoup the money on that truck. So I'm strictly doing it because I want to. And yeah, so that's a pretty big deal. I didn't pick the best time in the world to do the project, but I really decided I wanted to keep that truck. And so I want it to be fun, and that's what's going to happen. Let's see what I missed. Yep, Darren, that's for sure. Well, Casper, that's the thing, man. If that's I think one of the most important things is like to make a decision and do it. And the thing is, there's plenty of Volvos out there, and so obviously they're a money-making truck, or they wouldn't exist. Wiring harness, I'll do another deal with Precision Harness, and I'll change some things that I didn't like about the harness that I put in Crystal, and I'll make it something that I want to do in Marlo. Tow truck is just sitting there, Train Boy. It moved down the bench so I could finish X for Seth, the new owner, so we could get that thing out there so he can continue the project. And so I kind of unfocused from that to get X out of the way. And that kind of goes along with some of the stuff that we're going to be doing as well. Yeah, William, a lot of people like the big cam Cummins, and a lot of people like the 400. It's a good engine, lasts a long time, makes good steam. Have you ever thought to make a mutt engine? Best of all worlds. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I've had a lot of plans, William, of a lot of different things that I think would be cool. I still want to build an electric truck, and not like anything that you've ever uh, thought about when you think electric truck. I was going to do it kind of as a as kind of a opposite of efficiency and green thing. I was going to use a jet engine, an APU from a 747, which is a jet engine that drives a generator, and I was going to power it by the generator. But I still want to do something with that. But that's something that, if in 10 years the YouTube channel is supporting me financially, then, and we have some excess money, we may do something like that. But that's a project that I just can't take on. I'm 55. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm 55. In my career, I have to mandatory retire at 65. So I only have 9 years and 10 and a half months left, or something like that. And so I don't have enough income ability before retirement to be able to do, to spend $1 million more on, cool stuff that I always wanted to do. So that's one of those things I'd love to do. Love to do some cool projects like that, but it's just not in the cards unless something happens and the channel like freaks out and goes to like 500,000 subscribers, and then it starts generating income. That would be cool. But thanks, Tommy. I appreciate you. Yeah, Demon. I agree. I wanted to get rid of it, but more so because I felt like I was finished with the truck, and I just didn't want to see it sitting in the yard and maybe take it to one show a year. And I thought, well, if I could get 60,000 out of it, that would recoup my time and money, and then I could take that money and spend it on something else and bring it up and then get rid of it. But I love that truck, and if I'm going to go to shows, I want to go to shows in a truck that I enjoy and I love, and so that's why Marlo's going to get another go at it. Well, Travis, I may have to hit you up on that, but I want to see my idea through and see if I can just make it work. Really, Kevin? It's interesting. So I would use William, I would use the jet engine that powers the generator, and then I would use electric motors powered by the generator, powered by a big old kerosene burner, is what I would do. I don't know about that, William, but I did have at one point in time, way before you guys knew me, almost 20 years ago now, I was in the process of buying a big bunk K100 with a big stretched out frame that had been sitting in the woods for a long time. And I lived in an HOA area in Florida, and I just was like, I'm not going to take on a semi truck project. But I really wanted to put a radial engine in it. And that's really why I have Crystal and Trisha, is because I missed out on that K100 deal, and I had been bummed out about it for a long time. And so when I did see it, I got super excited. William, I get it. Jessica actually likes washing cars and trucks. Um, on her channel, that's going to be one of her weekly things is, uh, you know, washing a car or washing a truck and making it pretty. Yeah, Tommy, I like the international flat floor, for sure. No, the TRX is gone. Insurance company settled with me. The insurance company paid me. We didn't settle on shit, but they paid me some of what the truck costs. I'll never see that truck again. It's in a foreign country, probably. Let's see what else. What else is new? I get it. I totally understand. Yeah, Sean, man, I don't get it either. Marla, I'm gonna go out on a limb. There, all trucks are beautiful in their own way, but Marla is the cab over to have. I do not know why. I should have been like, oh man, someday I'd like to sell Marla, and I should have had 5 people with cash standing there ready to give me more than I wanted for it. What else could you ask for? If you're going for the nostalgia, the only thing that can be cooler is if it had a 3408 in it, right? I mean, if that had a 3408 cat in there, I probably could have sold the truck for 75,000. But I just didn't get that lucky. I got the biggest cab, the best year, set forward axle, biggest cab, best condition frame. I mean, that frame has not one speck of rust on it. The best of the best of the best that you could put in that truck in 1985. 8V92, 475 from the factory. I mean, everything about that truck is the best. And I thought for sure that if I ever needed to sell it, that thing would just be gone. So I don't get it. I don't get it. Trisha, I think Trisha is about to come out of the paint shop. Finally, we've had some bad experience with Paint and Trisha, but I think it's getting ready to come out of the paint shop finally. And I need to sell Trisha, and I need to get like 40K out of that truck, and I hope somebody will buy it. I need to sell that truck. I don't want to sell that truck. I need to sell that truck. I need that money like right now. So if anybody needs a flat top K100 with new paint and body, 400 cat RTO 12513 13 speed that's been all gone through. Basically roadworthy restoration, kingpins, and all the goodies in the front end. Yep. Tim wanted Trisha when I first had Trisha and Marla after I got Marla, and I think Tim would have bought Marla, but it's hard to spend $50,000 on a truck that you're probably not going to do anything with. When you're a business owner, and you guys know it, even when you're not a business owner, $50,000 can be spent on a lot of other stuff than a project truck or just a toy that you may mess with for a few months and then it's just going to sit in the field. And if you're like me, you can't just set a truck on the dirt and be okay with it. It just doesn't work that way. Big Daddy Trucking X is headed to its new home pretty soon. I think when I get home, I have about 2 solid weeks of work, and then I should be able to experiment with driving it. That truck has not been on the road in a long time, and it was very parted out, and some rodent damage and some electrical. So like once we get all the roadworthy mechanical stuff done, which we're doing everything now. We're swapping it over to Hub Pilot, new steering components. Everything in the rear end is new. Everything in the back half of the truck, everything that has to do with brakes and suspension is new back there. So we've already done all of that. But the real trick comes with, we put it on new wheels and tires, and we take it to the alignment shop and see what we see. And then it's, is this engine going to be a long-term thing? We know the transmission is good because it's a great transmission, and then he had it rebuilt, or gone through, I should say. They probably only just replaced bearings and stuff, but it's a heavy haul 13-speed trans, and there's a lot of, cool stuff. It's got an all new cooling pack in it. Like, you guys know I spent the big money on, making sure everything was new on the cooling side, radiator, charge air cooler, those stainless tubes and all of the stuff, and all new rubber and everything on the cooling system. So I'm not worried about that, but the engine wasn't new. It was takeout from a crash, and then it sat a long time, and it runs good, but you just never know what the bones are until you get out there trying to get it to go 1,000 miles away from the house. But yeah, I'm guessing 2 weeks of hard work, and then maybe a week or so of small stuff, and then we're going to get it delivered. Yeah, Sean, I don't know. There's actually American auctioneers have been to the auctions, and you guys have seen that on some videos. And I think I may consign Trisha and Crystal to the next auction that I'm going to be home for, and just see. We'll see. What's up, Robert? Uncle Bob. William, I don't blame you for that. I'm a Freightliner guy too. I love a Freightliner cab over certain models, obviously, but yeah, I'm a Freightliner guy. I have no problem with Freightliner. If all I ever did was Franny, and I had $150,000 in Franny, and it was mechanically sound like Betty, I probably would have been just fine with only ever having that truck. I love Freightliners. Yep, Sean. Actually, the owner of X is in the channel. I think he's still on the chat. His name is Seth. His handle here is like LUD truck, and yes, he is going to put that truck to work. I'm hoping that he loves that truck as much as I think he does, and I think that truck's going to be pretty amazing, because I think it'll be 110% for sure. Once he gets it from me, it'll be fairly mechanically solid, and he can make the interior look new again, and we think that the paint on the truck might survive paint correction and polish, and he'd really like to keep it the circum colors that it is, and he wants to do the frame a little bit different, and I think it's going to be amazing. So we'll see, but I think it's going to be good. So Darren, the auction, the company that I go to their auctions, because they're the local guy equipment auction for me. You just consign the truck and say, hey, this is the truck. This is what I want out of it. There's some fees, obviously some decent fees involved, but I think they give you, a fair shake, and then you bring it up a couple of days or a week or so before the auction. They advertise the shit out of it, and they get a turnout at their auction. And there's a possibility that I could get close to what I'd like to get out of either one of those trucks, Crystal or Tricia. All right, Demon, take it easy, buddy. Yeah, that's the thing. You're right. And especially with an engine that's been sitting for a long time, you guys have probably already experienced that. You get a project going, you buy an engine that maybe the truck just got crashed or some other reason they just took it out of service and the thing's only been sitting for a few months, and you get the engine or you get the project and you get it over into your truck, and then it takes a few months to get it all pieced together, and then you start the thing up, everything's good. You get a couple little problems, maybe the thing high idles or something weird, and you go through those steps and then you put it to work, and as soon as you do, it's gushing oil out of here, or it's gushing coolant out of here, or it's seeping everywhere. That's just what happens with old stuff. So yeah, you're right. Let's see, what else haven't we talked about? Let's talk about Crystal a little bit. All right, Dan, thanks for being here, brother. Yeah, Sean, I've Ritchie Brothers. I don't know. Those guys kind of scare me a little bit. I think they're probably the highest priced guys out there. I mean, they get results, so I get it. I'm not saying that they're crooked. It's just expensive. And I can go to Calhoun and not have to fight that Atlanta mess. So I think I'll do American Auctioneers first and see what happens. So anyways, Crystal. I really want to sell Crystal. Somebody from the channel should buy Crystal. Look, that truck for 40 grand. And it might be a little flexible, but for $40,000, you get a 100% mechanically solid start of a badass cab over project. 5EK Cat, arguably one of the best engines ever made. RTLO 18913 heavy haul, 13-speed transmission. Arguably one of the best transmissions in my opinion. And it's got that, I think it's that 0.73 final ratio. That's a 95 mile an hour truck. It's got a good wheelbase for a cab over. It's not excessive, but it's got a good length wheelbase. Downfall, spring suspension. Rayco suspension, it doesn't beat you up like people are like, oh, spring suspension. It's not that fat stack of off-road dump truck leaf springs. It's a on the road Rayco suspension. It's not smooth as glass, but what truck is? It's got all new bushings in the suspension. It's got brand new wheels and tires. It's got mostly new air system. I should have had the radiator record and a new charge air cooler. I bought that radiator, that E model Cummins N14 radiator from an E model. I got it for, I think I paid $1,000 for it, and it's $5,000, $6,000 radiator. I got it for $1,000 at a used factory condition. And I should have just spent the money and had it recorded and made new again, but I wasn't sure how it was even going to fit. I had heard that it fits in the C model, but I wasn't sure, and so I got it all in there. And I think, yeah, I think I did it after the engine was in. So I got it all in there, and then I was just excited about making the truck run and drive again. So I just watered it up. I mean, it's a good radiator, but it's aged. I should have spent the money. But other than that, the truck is mechanically ready to go. A little bit of interior work and a lot of body work, and that's going to be an amazing truck. Somebody needs to buy it. Yes, and Crystal does have an air ride cab. So the downfall of the spring ride suspension is going to be made up by the air ride cab. Yeah, Seth is still driving. Nice. Franny. We'll get to Franny in a second. Let's sell Whitney right now. Who wants a cab over project? A badass cab over project. You guys know Whitney 1969 white cab over. Has a small cam Cummins, 9-speed transmission, crappy rubber block suspension cut off on the thing with Dayton's from 100 years ago. But that truck deserves somebody to make that their love and get restored. Why is it that nobody has bought that truck? I will sell Whitney right now for $5,000. And if you want to, you could drive it home. I wouldn't. I drove it an hour home when I bought it, but my stones are in a bit of a different spot than most people's. I would probably not drive the truck home, but you could get in it right now, put the nut on the battery, and get in that thing and press the button and wait the exuberant amount of time for it to air up, because the air system is 1969, and you could drive that truck home. Somebody buy that truck, please. I love that truck. That was my buddy JP's truck, and it has some history and a little bit of sentimental value to me. But I'm not going to be able to give that truck the Black Betty treatment, and somebody needs to. Please, somebody buy that truck. $5,000. Start it up and drive it onto the trailer and take it home. All right. Now, Franny. I actually had Franny sold. It was funny. It's a funny story, but it's not so funny. But a friend through the YouTube channel reached out to me and said, I want to come look at Franny. I have Franny for sale for $15,000. That's a lot of money for the condition of the truck. But Franny's world famous. And I think that if you wanted to start a YouTube and do a truck restoration and you like the FLC Freightliner, Franny is the truck that you would want, because Franny has a 60-inch bunk. It's got a long wheelbase. It's got a 3406 cat. The only downfall is the Super 10 transmission. But if you like the Super 10 transmission, this one's a good one. It's a badass truck. And I think if you wanted to do a project, start a YouTube channel, you could probably, over the course of the 3 years you would spend doing the restoration, you would probably pay for the restoration by doing YouTube. So it'd be basically like getting a free truck. YouTube's not easy. It's a ton of work. And when you think about the hours you spend on YouTube, let's just talk about YouTube and money real quick. Let's say I make between $900 and $4,000 a month on YouTube, and there's way more $900 months than there are anything else. Okay, so let's pretend that we make $12,000 a year, $12,000 to $15,000 a year. I work an average of 70 hours working on the truck every month. Whatever truck I'm working on, I have about 70 hours of wrench time on trucks a month. During that 70 hours of wrench time, I spend 50 hours recording, managing cameras and memory devices and batteries and tripods and cords and everything else. After I've spent 70 hours of mechanic time and 50 hours of managing cameras, I then spend about 150 hours a month editing and uploading and creating thumbnails and cross-posting to other social media platforms, and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and live videos and other. So how many hours a month is that? 70, 50, and 120. That's a lot. It's 250 hours a month combined. Like some of that time is together. Obviously, while I'm filming, I'm also working on the truck. So it's not dedicated 50 hours, but every time I do something on the truck, and you see it doesn't happen all the time because you'll see me standing in front of the camera instead of the camera looking at what we're looking at, because, you know, when you're in the mode of being a mechanic, you forget you're a cameraman and a sound guy, and a director, and you get in front of the camera. So obviously it's not a full-time 50 hours managing, but 50 hours of the 70, you have that going on at the same time. So take $15,000 divided by, let's just split that hours in half. Let's say 100 hours a month. So 1,200 hours a year, $15,000. Think about that for a minute. I'm not making anything. Which is fine, because I didn't start the business to get rich. I mean, everybody wants to be Mr. Beast or Whistling Diesel or Cletus McFarlane or Vice Script Garage. Everybody wants to be them and make. And I'm going to say some numbers out here, and people are going to be like, well, it's more complicated than a number. Let's just say everybody wants to make $20 million a year doing YouTube videos and having fun with your friends. It's not necessarily how it works, but everybody would love that to be the thing. Anyhow, yeah. So that's not really how it works. You know, we do YouTube, and you do YouTube because of other reasons. I do YouTube because I wanted to share my passion for what I do. And I think that's where most people start with YouTube, is they have a passion. I mean, there's people who just make it a business and they cross-post other people's content, and, you know, and they're all about the ads and all about the money and all about the sponsorships. And then you see that as well. People like I was anti-sponsorship until I realized that, you know, an extra $1,000 a year is not bad. And I'd love for somebody to throw me 5 cases of brake cleaner and 5 cases of penetrating oil and a dozen boxes of blue rags and hand cleaner and gloves and glasses and oils. And I'd love all that because I pay for it out of pocket, you know. My parts bill, no, I haven't. My parts bill is not what it used to be, but I was spending almost $100,000 a year on parts. And, you know, it's a lot of money, a lot of time. So people don't necessarily do YouTube to get rich, because you're not going to get, the average guy is not going to get rich. You know, it's nice when people get big enough that the channel can pay them back for some of the time they invested. And that's really all we would really like, is to get to the point where we could recover some of the retirement money I already spent. But anyhow, it's an exciting deal. It's super fun to share our passion with people who share the passion. And I've met so many great friends, and I consider you guys, you know, you guys that are here every live, I consider you guys all my friends. I mean, I know we don't all talk outside of lives, but I do have a lot of you guys are Facebook friends, and we do communicate outside of the channel. And so I do consider you guys all friends, and I like having the social group that we have. Yeah. Anyways, I just felt like sharing that with you. What's up, Glenn? How's it going, brother? You know, Darren, I agree. I think Franny is the coolest truck ever made. If Franny was a cab over, if you could have a cab over that was Franny, it would be the badass, best thing in the whole world. But Franny's super cool. I think it's the best of the best, and I think everybody else does too, because that truck has 10 million views and 13 other trucks combined don't. So yeah, Franny's badass. Franny would have been so cool if that would have been the truck. Like, you pull up and you see that thing all listing over on its side in the weeds, and you look through it and you're like, this is amazing. The only thing that could have been better than pulling that hood open and having a running 3406 would have been pulling that hood open to a V12 Detroit or a V8 Cat or a KT8 Cummins. Can you imagine what the difference in the channel? Like, let's just go all the way back to Franny. Can you imagine where the channel would be today if I pulled the hood open on that truck and I had a KTA in it? Or a factory born with 3408 or V12 Detroit. The channel would definitely be different, and Franny would be the Betty of the channel. And that would be badass. And I could have been just perfectly content with Franny being the only truck in the fleet. But what happened was I got all googly eyed and bought all the other trucks, which I love them all. But man, you know what I mean? What the difference it could be. What's happening, Randall? What's up, Billy? Right on, Mark. Let's see. Yeah, Sean, I don't know if I already said this, but yes, Whitney does need to go to somebody that would do a badass, perfect condition show truck out of Whitney. Whitney could be so cool. The look of that truck is so amazing. And you guys know those old whites, they don't have a cab jack system. They have and I know a lot of guys already know this, and I'm kind of saying this for myself, but they have the badass leaf spring setup. And what you're supposed to be able to do, and mine doesn't work this way, and someday it will, is you're supposed to just pull and unlock, and then with your hand lift the cab all the way up, because it's supposed to be zero. What do they call that? Zero gravity, I guess, was the best way to say it. And the way when the cab comes down, it loads that spring. And I think it would have been better if they used a torsion bar, but they use leaf springs and they twist them. And that's probably from it being closed for 30 years. That's probably why it doesn't work worth a shit. But that system was pretty cool. No cab jack. Can you imagine that? But anyhow, that truck deserves to be somebody's baby. Sean, that's funny. Simon, I've never had a Signature 600, so I have no opinion. I've never even seen one. I would like to have one. Yeah, Darren, you're probably right. That probably was the first time she was on the channel. Does the NPR have a jackless cab? Huh. Interesting. Open the doors on both sides. You know what's really weird? Thanks, Noel. I appreciate that. Appreciate it, Billy. I've never seen a Brockway. I've heard of them, but I've never seen one. Oh, that's pretty cool. And I had no idea that they still did that. Huh. So here's the weird thing about Whitney. I tried lubing everything up and see if I could make that work. And even with like 3 guys, if you unlock it, 3 guys can't even move it. But I got that cheap Tractor Supply off-road jack, that I use on a lot of stuff, especially lifting cabs. And you put that on there and it effortlessly lifts. I mean, you don't even have to pull on the lever and the cab comes right up. So it's close. But I bet it's 500 pounds. Because if it was only 350 pounds, 3 of us could do it easy. So I bet it's over 500, maybe 600 pounds of weight. So it's interesting. That's interesting. I'll have to try that with the doors. Ooh, I have no way to translate your message, sir. All I can say is I appreciate you being here. I have no idea how to reply to you. It's kind of chilly in here. Huh, that's interesting, Sean. It's funny. I used to have a business back in the day that I had a few box trucks that we used for the business. And I almost, the first one ever that I was going to buy was an NPR. And I don't remember for what reason. Oh, the front suspension was so shot, it was scary to drive. And I didn't have a place to work on anything then. And so I skipped it and bought a GMC. What was that thing? GMC what? I don't remember, but that was had an LS engine in it and a 4016. It was a good truck. So I just never had any experience with the NPR after that first. Did I buy that truck? I did. I bought that truck. That's right. That's right. I did buy that truck. So I bought that truck in Michigan and I was living in Florida. I bought that truck in Michigan and I'm from Michigan. So, I have a lot of friends up there. And I took it to a mechanic friend of mine that I used to have a shop with and said, dude, fix this thing up. I need it. And so he brought it in the shop and he's like, yeah, dude, no. This thing is junk. This suspension is completely worn out. It's going to cost you like 10 grand. And so he stored it. He had a little mini storage. He stored it as mini storage and finally sold it for half what I paid for it. So that's why I never got any other NPRs. It was whooped though. It was an old rental truck that was at the end of its life. Brockway was owned by Mack. Like a F model. Huh, interesting. Top kick. Oh, the truck I was talking about was not a top kick, but then I did end up buying some top kicks. And that was my first experience with the 3126. I think the 3126 cat. What a gutless wonder. And it had the old school Allison 4-speed automatics with that loose city converter. So the truck had absolutely no way to put the power to the ground. It just spent half of the power spinning oil around in the torque converter. It was horrible. Yeah. Randall, so the trucks I want to keep, the list right now is short. It's Marla, Betty, Rhonda. Those are the trucks that are not going anywhere. I'd like to keep. Oh, I was telling you a story about selling Franny. Let me jump back. I'd like to keep Franny, but I would sell Franny because Franny deserves to have the Black Betty treatment and do the whole meal deal. Every bit of that truck needs to be restored, and it deserves that. So I had listed Franny for 15,000, and I had a friend from the channel called me and said, I want to come look at the truck. I'll probably buy it. So he comes to the house, we hang out for a little bit, start the truck up, talk some shit. And he's like, okay, I'll take it. I should have brought the money with me, but I'll just send it to you when I get home. And I'm like, okay. And we hung around talking for a little bit. And I don't remember if I told him no then or if I messaged him when he left, but I changed. I said, I just changed my mind. It's not for sale. And so he was like, dude, I don't blame you. I totally understand. We talked about doing some other work on something. He's got a nice collection of trucks himself. And we talked about me doing a cutoff on his, I think, W9 and And I got to where I was like, okay, I'm overwhelmed with customer work. If I take on a frame stretch and restoration on somebody else's truck when I already owe that to Seth on X, and I still have Rhonda and all these other trucks. And so I got cold feet, and I told him I changed my mind. And he was like, dude, I totally understand. And then like the next day I regretted changing my mind, and I called him and tried to get him to buy it. And he had already talked himself out of picking up another truck that needed a full restoration when he has project trucks already. Great guy. Super cool. He's got great taste in trucks. And it would have been nice to have him have Franny, but I totally understand. And he totally understood when I had him drive all the way there to buy the truck and then told him, no, it's not for sale. So it was pretty good. It was a good time to meet the guy. And I knew he was a truck guy, and I could tell by our conversations, but he's straight as a truck guy, just like I am. And that was pretty cool. So it's good to meet him, and I regret letting him off the hook on buying Franny, but on the same aspect, I really don't want to sell Franny. I love Franny. I would love to give it the Black Betty treatment, but I don't know if I'll ever get to it. What's up, Kyle? Auto car conventional. Believe for sale. Oh, it has a 475 in it, huh? That's interesting. So, buddy of mine, Anthony Fox, he has a auto car that he wants me to buy, but I just don't have it in me. Nice Kodiak. I almost bought a Kodiak when I was trucking. I had a little trucking company, and I was hauling RVs. I worked for Hoosier RV Transport, a pretty famous outfit out of Indiana, and I had a haul and tow at a Ford F650 with a C7 Acert and an Allison that I bought that box truck in New York and towed it home with a military tow bar on the back of my double cab dually Sierra. And the roads were wet, and it pushed me around on an off ramp or an on ramp, and somehow the truck saved itself. I'm not even going to say I saved it, but somehow the truck saved itself, and I did get home without getting crashed. And then I spent a ton of money on that truck and added it to the fleet, and then somebody stole it. But yep, I don't know where I was going with that or what made me remember that. Cummins, NPR. But yeah, somehow I just remembered that. But thanks, Sherry. How's it going? Ooh, uh-oh. My laptop is telling me that my battery is about to go to sleep. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Let me see what I can do right quick. It's not a standard electrical grid in these foreign countries. So you have adapters. What size? What is that one? Oh, this one. I'm going to try and get it before it disconnects. Okay, I got it. Sorry about that. I forgot I was just on battery power. I hadn't planned on being on this long, hour 45. All right, let's see. Excuse me, sorry. Our slave cylinders throw out bearings and transmission hard to replace. Slave cylinders can be kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, depending on how they're mounted. As far as the throw out bearing, you got to take the transmission off the engine. But otherwise, and depending on the transmission or the clutch setup, sometimes the throw out bearing is part of the clutch cover, like on big trucks. So, can get expensive. Thanks, Sherry. Appreciate that. Yep, Randall, we talked about that a little earlier. I have a whole plan of, I have, I think 7 cab overs, maybe 8, that I need to buy, and not for myself. I just need to purchase them from the landowner before they go to junk. And then I need to do an intro video, will it start video, and a first wash video. And then I need to sell the truck for what I paid for it. So there's like 7 or 8, mostly Freightliners, a couple of Pete's, a couple of Marmons. And I need to do that. But the problem is I had commitments with getting X done. I bought Rhonda. I want to use Rhonda as my rescue vehicle. I have this whole big plan on gearing Rhonda up with a battery bank and like 100-foot military slave cable, jumper cables, air compressor, everything I need to be able to go to a location and rescue a truck. Like have all my like tree cutting stuff on there and all my everything I need to be able to go into the woods, bring Rhonda into the woods, hook up to whatever I'm doing, do a will it start, pay the guy, back up to the truck, snatch it up and drag it home. And that's the idea. And that's where the channel's going. But the problem is I have other commitments I have to get done first. And money is tightened right up because of the unexplained new things that's happened around here. So I really do need the channel to pick up a little bit. I need to double or triple the income from the channel to be able to do some of the cool things and get those trucks saved before it's too late. You guys know that there was a fire at my spot, burned up about 6 of the trucks that I had in my mind that I was already going to own. And if anything else happens, then some really good pieces of history are going to be gone. If the fire would have went the other direction, it would have smoked all of those old Freightliners and all of those Marmons. And that would have been bad for everybody. Sorry, I got a little distracted. Yeah, bucket. I did I got bucket out the other day and I'd shot some video. And then I was trying to edit the video up and noticed that the camera was not on a few things that it should have been on. But I do have a little bucket footage and a little Nova footage I'm putting together for I'll just put a video out just some random time this week. So there's a little bit of that. I knew what you meant, Casper. If you the trans out, do the rear main seal. Yep, that's good advice, Darren. You know what? JP's going through some stuff right now. We should have some JP content coming up over the next 4 to 6 weeks. But JP's wife has been sick, and he's going through some trying times, and I feel bad that I can't be over there to give him a hand with some stuff he needs to get done. But we're going to try and get some things done, and he'll be on some videos here before too long. But yeah, that's all I can really say about that. What's up, James? Nope, Noel. Power steering is not done. I think we're closer. I'm waiting for a custom pitman arm, and if the custom pitman arm works, we're 3/4 of the way finished with the project. If it doesn't work, we're back to square one, and I'm going to change directions. Then the only other hurdle there is, and believe me, it's tough to get a custom made pitman arm. This is a modification of an existing part to make it what I need. If that works, the only other thing is, do I have the steering box in the correct position for when the cab comes down, that the steering linkage will mate up to it? And the only other caveat of that is the spline shaft on the factory gear box is tiny. I, for some reason, thought they would all be the same, but apparently there's like 7 different spline count and sizes of input shaft on gearboxes. Now, why wouldn't there be? Why wouldn't they just all use the same 3/4 inch 21 spline yoke? But they don't. So there's the universal joint and the part that goes on the spine with the bolt through it, right? Yeah, none of the ones I have are the right size for this Volvo gearbox. So that's the next hurdle, but that should be the last thing. Does JP still have the black Peterbilt? Yes. Anybody want it? 40,000. 359, brand new engine, brand new transmission, brand new rims, new paint, needs interior work, new great big stacks, polished ass wheels, nice tires. $40,000, good price. Somebody should buy that truck. We'll try and showcase that on a video soon. Maybe go for a ride, do a walk around video, maybe have Jessica wash it, and maybe see if we can't get that sold for him. JP could use that truck sold. Yeah, Darren, of course it would be. And I don't know why I just assumed that they would all use the same size spline. And worse than that is they all use a different size universal joint. So I can't just take the steering shaft off the Volvo and take the U-joint apart and take that part that fits that and put it on my existing shaft and U-joint. You would think that would even be, but it's not even close. So unless somebody makes that conversion joint for that particular spread, I'm don't know what I'm going to do. So we'll see. The the power steering, that thing is several $1,000s, Sean. And I just didn't want to spend the money. If mine works, I'll have $1,000 in the whole thing. It's a lot of work, but it's $1,000. And again, I'm trying to not spend a ton of money because I have committed the foreseeable future of my income on the project. So I didn't have $4,000 or $3,500 or whatever it was going to end up costing. Yeah, that's for sure. Every brand does need an exclusive parts market. I appreciate that. And JP appreciates that too. JP is a good friend of mine. For a guy that I just met at a truck show and asked about getting a component, I don't remember what part I was looking for. Good people, man. Good people. And we got some exciting shit coming up, you guys. I'm not kidding you. But yeah. Okay, so we're going on 2 hours. I've been talking really loud for it being 7:00 in the morning and me being at this fancy hotel. So I think I'm going to close it up for today. I appreciate you guys all being here. Let's see what else. I don't think there's any other pressing news. Let's get somebody to buy Whitney this week, huh? Come on, one of you guys needs that project truck. I'll help you out a lot with it, as much as I can anyways. But I'd really like to get that truck to somebody who wants to do a restoration, somebody who wants a project truck that starts and runs and drives, and gets after it. It could be a super cool truck, man, a super cool truck. But anyways, guys, I really appreciate you. And we'll see you on the next live. I remember how to shut it off. Oh, there it is. It was just hiding. We'll see you.